When I was Minister of Local Government, I was appalled at the number or the paucity of Māori voting in local body elections, and I swear to God, I climbed up mountains with sexy Māori rugby league stars and others, and we had an 0800 vote campaign, and I'm ashamed to say that after all the money, and thank God I'm not in Parliament to answer a question on it, they voted less the next year after the campaign than they did the year before, the campaign before. God, it was so embarrassing, you know. But the bottom line is this: our people aren't strategic. And, you know, it's one thing to say the system doesn't work for us. Well, the system doesn't work that well for the poor either, actually. Whatever colour you are, whether you're a refugee or just, you know, a poor old Pākehā without two bob to rub together either. Now, that's not to set aside the treaty issues, but what amazes me is how very well our people have got their head around mixed member proportional representation, more Māori in Parliament, and Materia's right. That's why we've got to vote to keep it. You know, in the old days we got 4 and that was your lot, year in, year out, election in, election out, the same faces, decade in and decade out, as you know. Now you've got our people there across the board, but our people are really strategic in terms of how they muscle their way into seats and selection in every political party, and have focused their minds at the national level of political parties having to look at our people as contenders. But at the local government level, that hasn't happened. And I think there are a number of reasons. One, our people don't like local government. And one of the main reasons is, as we discussed earlier, it's been the place that our nannies and our pauas and our uncles and aunties have had to bash on the door decade in and decade out about fundamental issues like wetlands, lakes, harbours, everything, all the bad news in town. So the perception of local government in the eyes of our people is overwhelmingly a negative one. The second thing is, it's always been an exclusive club, local government, not just for Māori. Generally, in my day when I first got in, the roads board, even on my humble island, you know, it was men over. I mean, Jenny Shipley and I got elected in '83 and we were like that because women in the world didn't get elected to county councils, you know. So it's always been a place of closed doors, and it's been hard to kick those doors open, which is why there needs to be clear stated constitutional commitment, even at the new super council level, to the proposition of this inclusiveness, which is easy to say but harder to do. And I think the third reason is that Māori also know that even if you get elected, you become the token voice of Māori with all the nuances and risks that go around that. Can I just say one thing? I'd like to acknowledge Waireti Norman. You know, this so-called revolution of the proposition of Māori seats that we're talking about, that's not new either. When I first came to Auckland, we had that wonderful woman representing the North, not tangata whenua, and on that dysfunctional Auckland Regional Authority, she was a voice of sanity that broke up every argument that ever happened. So, you know, there's a message for Pākehā there too. The sky won't fall in when our people come through the door. It's only going to get better for you, as it has in Parliament.
Jasmine, do you have anything to add?
I think when you look at the past, our people's faith in politics and local governments is almost like bottomed out. So if you have to get up every day, you know, why do you want to go into a sort of like a area that, you know, you get put to the side and you have to watch your own people get put to the side? So I suppose that's another reason, you know, I would want to get up and go, oh, okay, yep, I'll talk to my advisors today, and then I'll maybe go consult with my Māori people. You know, if the purpose of the Auckland Super City was to streamline everything, then why is there still two separate? You know, you've got the local council, and then you've got Māori on the side. So, you know, then what's the point in that? It's sort of really hypocrisy, like right in front of your face. So. Yeah, that's sort of, I wouldn't want to go into that sort of industry myself.
Heta, if we...
Dang.
Heta, as we start to wrap up our discussion and looking forward, because we've just spoken about the lack of Māori representation, some of the reasons too why Māori aren't putting their hands up. Well, that election's passed, so we've got to wait for a few more years now again to address that, if you like. in a physical manner, I suppose. What happens now? How do we get Māori to engage with this new structure now? How do we make them care about what's happening to them at that local government level? Because as we've all discussed, a lot of issues, I think Matiria said it, in some way local government is more important than central government in terms of the issues that face us on a day-to-day basis. So how do we get ourselves engaged in that process?
I mean, it's a big question. I mean, obviously, the stats show that we're not engaged. We don't really, either by virtue of the fact we don't understand the machinations of local government, or we just don't care. I think how you will get engagement is when it starts to affect you on a day-to-day level. When you find that your rubbish has been sitting out there for 2 weeks, and you think, who do I call? So when it starts to sort of really hit home at that level, I think people start to care because they have to, because it's going to sort of ruin their day, or it's going to impact how they basically live. When you have the Māori Statutory Board sitting to the side there, and I think at a very high level, that does provide a platform of sorts for us to be able to engage and understand what's going on at local council. So I'd say it's their role to actually start to stimulate that engagement amongst their local communities to say, hey, we do have a voice. Try and, mitigate some of that cynicism about whether it's a toothless tiger that they are. But if they can sort of get people to say, hey, look, give us the mandate to actually go to council and put our issues forward and get involved and get them involved, and I think you probably have a better chance to achieve that engagement. So there is a structure there. We've discussed that it may not be the best structure in the world, but I think it is there, and it's one that we should utilise, I guess.
Matiria?
Yeah, we have to see as a community that it's worth it, that it's worth the money that it costs to campaign. It's worth the putting yourself out there. Really, politics is a very hostile environment. You have to have a really thick skin to cope with it. So there's a whole. You've got to have really good support, and you've really got to be able to take the knocks and be in it for the long game. I think as we get more iwi doing settlements and having those closer relationships with local government, I think we're going to see more engagement with it at the political level as well as at that kind of economic level, which I think will be really good, and it's going to be a process of evolution. But that's why we need councils like this who've got potential to demonstrate to us that it is worth us being involved and engaged, because they will listen. And they have. That's really what we were looking for, is someone to be responsive, so that we can see that we can really make some change through that process, and support each other to be able to engage with it. I mean, I agree. We don't treat local government as strategically as we ought to, and as we do with central government. And we can learn from the way that we've had successes in central government and the local government forum.